Welcome to Fun is Fundamental. Fun is Fundamental is a podcast for those who realize that the enjoyment of life is about having something deep in our souls which lights our fire. It's for those who maybe have lost that fire and feel like they are missing out on the pleasures of life. In each episode, I will share recent fun activities and focus on why having fun is essential for good health. I'm your host, Alenia, and I invite you to take this journey with me and join the pleasure-seeking movement. Hi, welcome to Fun is Fundamental, and this is current me. I wanted to come on for a second and tell you that this episode was recorded last year, so the sound quality isn't that great because I had my own old mic back then. And also, the reason that I kept it on hold for all this time was because it was late summer when I recorded it, and I felt like I didn't want to release it quite yet because people wouldn't be able to quickly go and do this experience right after it was released. So I held it until they reopened for the new season. So it's June now, and they open in June with the Whitewater one, the rapid jet at Jerry's Rogue Jet. So that's why I held off on releasing this episode. But it's still true. It was a very fun experience. I still think about how much fun it was. So so it stood the test of almost a year of staying in my memories. So legit. If you get a chance, if you're in Southern Oregon and you get a chance to do this, I still recommend it. All right. Hope you enjoy the episode. We were just on a little road trip vacation to the Oregon coast. We absolutely love the Oregon coast. They really have one of the best coastlines in the country. I mean, I haven't been to the East Coast, so I don't know about some areas on the East Coast, but obviously Southern California beaches, are very nice to hang out in and everything, but Oregon beaches are so interesting. And so there's some interesting ones in Northern California too. But, I live in Washington State, and our beaches our coastline is just not as interesting looking generally. There are obviously interesting parts, and we definitely like going to the beach in Washington, but it's just not the same. Oregon is really amazing. So anyway, we took a road trip down there, and we had never been down to really Southern Oregon much. So we went to Gold Beach, and we went and we did I don't know what to call it. And we did a tour, I guess we can call it, with Jerry's Rogue Jets. And I'm just going to say up front, this is not a paid advertisement. It's just, we enjoyed it so much that I just really wanted to talk about it because, isn't that the point of this podcast? And also, I'm like, no, you should, if you're ever in the area, you should totally do it. So spoiler alert, we liked it. So, yeah. I chose it because it kept on showing up in best of kind of lists, because I was reading tour books and looking on the internet and doing research because, I wanted to have us do the best things especially because we don't go to Southern Oregon ever. So I was doing research, and then also, it also had good ratings too. So it wasn't just guidebook people saying, oh, you should do this, but regular people don't actually like it. It's well liked all across the board. So I was like, oh, Casey, we got to do this. And he, looked at the website and saw reviews and he was like, oh, yeah, that sounds fun. So we did the Express Whitewater, and it's about like 4.5 hours, and that includes a lunch break, and the lunch is provided with the ticket. And it goes about 40 miles up the Rogue River, and then it comes back. And so the first part of it is, like nature sightseeing, and there's like history lesson and little stories, and it's all just very entertaining, and the captain is funny, and it was interesting and fun and relaxing at times, but also kind of fun at times. Like the boats can go in water as shallow as 6 inches. So it's like, whoa, that's crazy. And, like a lot of it, you're going pretty fast, but like you're stopping sometimes for, he's telling certain stories, and also like, oh, hey, there's this animal over here. Mostly, I mean, we did see like a deer, but mostly it was like different kinds of birds. Like we saw herons and things like that. But anyway, it was all that part. And then at the end of it is the whitewater portion. Yeah, the experience was like this mix where like it's kind of relaxing because you're out looking at nature, but then it's also like exciting because you're going kind of fast, and there's like this like adrenaline of like being like woo, like like mild, like very mildly dangerous feeling, and then it was also entertainment, like you're hearing these fun stories kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I always love seeing animals and nature. It always makes me feel really calm and together, and but I was also like slightly nervous at times when like there would be like a sharp turn because I was at the edge of the second row. So I'd hold on sometimes when it would be like turning really sharply. And then he also did this thing where he would spin the boat, and a F like it's like whoa, and it's really exciting. But I also would like feel like, am I gonna fall out? And I mean we're told explicitly to hold on when we do it. And then but it was exciting, but also I was like so afraid I was gonna get splashed. And that, like when you're first starting, it's at the bay, it was really cold because it was like before 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was kind of foggy and really like moist and chilly. And and I was wearing like 2 layers, but it was still, and no, my body wasn't like that cold, it's just a little bit cold, but like this cold wind is like whipping my face, and I'm like, oh, I'm so cold. And so like I was really not wanting to get wet, and so but like he didn't do any of the spins until we were like a little bit up the river, so it wasn't like quite as cold at that point. And like as you go up the river, it gets warmer and warmer, you know getting away from the marine air, right? But yeah, it would like spin, and there'd be this big splash of water, and I'd be like, oh no, I'm gonna get wet. But it never happened because of just how, physics, right? The water will, you know. So anyway, I was like really glad not to get wet at that point, because I was just like, oh, it's too cold. But yeah, every time it would spin, it'd be like, he's like, hold on, kind of thing. So yeah, the very beginning part where you're like, when it's like cold and the cold wind is whipping your face, it's like exhilarating, but it's also irritating, and you're like, I don't like this so far, because you're just like, but you're also like, I also like it. But then when it's getting like warmer, it's like you feel more like okay with the wind blowing you and stuff like that. So you get up to the higher part of the river, and it's the whitewater part, and we got so soaked. It's a good thing it's like they only do this in the summer, and it's a good thing that it's like limited time and everything, but it was so fun. Like you're just cracking up and you're like squealing, like screaming. Exactly. It's just more like kind of like that, kind of feeling. And so yeah, it was really it was really fun. I it's one of those things where it's like a lot of times you don't really want to get like really soaking wet, but when you are getting soaking wet, it's really fun. You go to like water parks and you do all these things and you're like, oh, that was fun, and you're just laughing about it. I mean, the only complaint is, when you're wearing glasses and then you're just like, I can't see anything. And you get to the point where I was just like, someone kept on our neighbors kept on like passing over the towel for me to dry off my glasses because they were wearing glasses too and they knew what it was like, oh, here you go, and I like dry off my glasses. After a while it's just like, what's the point? I'm just gonna get wet again. I keep on like taking them off, dry them off, put it back on, I'm wet again, take them off, put it back on, and then it just keeps on happening. It's this vicious cycle. And so eventually, I was just like, I'm just gonna wait until like we're at the end and then dry off. But yeah, it was really, really, really funny. And at that point, you have to wear like a life vest, so there is like safety too, because you're like really like bumping over these rapids, and it's just splashing, and you get these ones that are just like these big waves that come over the whole boat, basically, like this splash everywhere. And I think I was probably in one of the prime splash spots because I was at the edge of the second row. And so yeah, I was like, my hair was just soaked, and luckily I had taken off like my sweatshirt underneath, and I had like tucked it in like the nape of my back. That's the nape of your neck. What's the arch of your back? So I had like tucked it there behind me. I was just like, just in case. And then I had my raincoat on, and my raincoat was just like stuck to me because it was so wet. And so I was like so glad that I had taken off that layer underneath so that like I had something like a little bit dry to put on. But yeah, like my tank top underneath and my was soaked, and my raincoat was soaked, and my hair was soaked, and it was just like, it was fun, but it was also just like, oh, okay, now I have to just like sit around being soaked. My jeans, like especially like the thighs, the front of your thighs, the quads, that part of my jeans was really soaked too. But it was warm enough, so I took off my raincoat that was sticking to me when we got off the boat to go eat in this town called Agnes, and I'm trying to remember what the place is called. This place called Cougar Lane Lodge. We ate there, and so my tank top dried pretty well, and then I had my sweatshirt, so like I could put that on if I needed to, because it was like a little chilly right at first when you're a little bit wet, but not that much. It was warm enough. And then my jeans were wet. There's like nothing I could do about that. They're just wet. And you know how denim is. So, but we had a good meal at Cougar Lane Lodge, and you get like a nice hour, 15 minutes ish time to hang out and relax and yeah, eat. You can buy alcoholic drinks if you want. We didn't. We just, you know. And you get to go to the bathroom. That was another thing, like getting all wet. Like after, I'm totally like fine, for like most of the time. And then towards the end, I was like, as you're getting splashed, I'm like, I have to go pee. So it was good to have that be our time to get off the boat and go to the bathroom and go eat some food. So I guess I hope that I have conveyed that it was very fun, and that I think anyone if it sounds appealing, obviously, but you should do it if you're ever in the area. So I hope that you enjoyed this little bit shorter episode. Anyway, you can follow me on Instagram at Fun is Fundamental and email me at funisfundamentalpodcast@gmail.com. And I also am on Facebook also with Fun is Fundamental. Hi, it's Current Me again. So after listening to the episode, I realized there were a few things that I was surprised that I didn't talk about. Okay, so one was that before we, like the day before or just before we were going to go, we were at this local bar in the area, and the bartender was like, "Oh, you should do this," and we're like, "Oh, we're going to," like had already planned to do it. Of course, we had the tickets, and then he was like, "But only do this one place." So there's two options of where you would stop and eat. Now I can't remember the two names at all, but we had already chosen the right one apparently. So that was we're like, okay, good. We didn't get the wrong one. So yeah, the one that I mentioned in the episode. If you do it, apparently according to this at least one local guy, that is the right choice. So there you go. Also, another thing that I forgot to mention that was just a really funny little moment. At one point, we're going down the river, and there's just this dog on a rock in the middle of the river. I mean, not the middle. It was closer to the shore, but clearly he had to go out into the water to get onto this rock, and we're just looking at this dog here, and I was just like, he didn't look wet, so it's just did he swim out there? But he doesn't look how long has he been out there? Anyway, but by the time we went back, the dog was gone. So I think, he went back to his house. I was just I don't know what happened. I mean, I'm sure right by the edge, it's probably not that deep. So the dog probably just had walked out and stood on the rock for some reason. I don't know. I don't know dog brain, so it's okay that I don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I I was really surprised that I didn't mention these two things in the episode because it was just yeah, they were things that kind of stood out, but yet I didn't mention them. Okay. Yeah, doesn't always make sense. Anyway, have a good week. Next week will be another interview episode. I hope that you are enjoying those. And yeah, you have a fun week. Bye.